What happens when a hardened mercenary finds a girl who's been caged like an animal for 18 years? What happens when that girl turns out to be the galaxy's most dangerous weapon? And what happens when the most human thing you can do is refuse to walk away? You're about to find out. Picture this. You're a hardened mercenary and in a dead world hunting scrap metal to pay your bills. The last thing you expect to hear is a voice inside your head begging for help. Most people would ignore it. Call it stress fatigue, maybe too much synthetic coffee. But Malik Rourke isn't most people. The ruins of Gareth 4 stretch endlessly under twin dying suns. What used to be a thriving research colony is now a graveyard of twisted metal and broken dreams. Scavengers, slavers, and mercenaries crawl through the wreckage like vultures picking clean whatever's left. It's the kind of place where morality goes to die, where decent people don't last long. Malik's combat boots crunch through radioactive dust as he follows his scanner's ping. He's tracking an energy core worth 3 months' rent, maybe more if he's lucky. At 42, he's got the kind of weathered face that tells stories he'd rather forget. Ex-military, ex-husband, ex-everything that mattered. Now he just takes contracts and tries not to think too hard about who's paying. The voice hits him like a sledgehammer to the skull. "Help me, please. I don't want to die here." Malik stops dead hand, instinctively reaching for his sidearm. The voice is young, female, and desperate in a way that makes his chest tighten. But here's the thing about Gareth 4. There aren't supposed to be any survivors. The evacuation happened 8 years ago when the atmospheric processors failed. Everyone who stayed behind is either dead or wishes they were. "Great," he mutters, scanning the horizon for threats. "Now I'm hearing ghosts." But the voice comes again, weaker this time. Closer. "I'm not a ghost. I'm in the biolab. Building 7, the cage with the red lights." Malik's blood runs cold. Building 7 was the xenobiology research facility. If someone's alive in there, they've been trapped for nearly a decade. And if they're in a cage with red lights, that means they were never meant to leave. Every instinct screams at him to walk away. He's got enough problems without adding kidnapping charges to his record. The smart play is to grab his energy core and get off-world before the local pirate gangs notice him. But as he starts to turn away, something stops him. It's not the voice this time. It's the memory of another voice, another plea for help that he ignored. His daughter calling his name as the custody officers dragged her away. He'd been too proud, too angry, too stubborn to fight for her. By the time he realized his mistake, it was too late. "Damn it," he growls, changing direction toward the biolab. This is exactly how people die in horror stories. The facility looms ahead like a metallic tumor against the orange sky. Most of the outer walls have collapsed, leaving jagged teeth of reinforced concrete and twisted support beams. Malik picks his way through the debris, following emergency lighting that somehow still flickers after all these years. The air tastes wrong. Metallic, chemical, like fear mixed with ozone. Building 7's entrance hangs open like a screaming mouth. Malik draws his pistol, a reliable slug thrower that won't fail in electromagnetic interference. His military training kicks in automatically. Check corners, watch your 6, assume everything wants to kill you. The voice guides him deeper, past laboratories filled with empty specimen tanks, past holding cells designed for things that weren't quite human, past warning signs in 17 different languages all saying the same thing. Authorized personnel only. Extreme danger. Do not enter. Malik enters anyway. 2. Rescue plus introduction of second character timeline. 020060. The holding area is a nightmare wrapped in sterile white panels. Dozens of containment units line the walls, most cracked open and empty. Emergency lighting casts everything in hellish red like the inside of a dying heart. And there in the center of it all is a stasis cage that's still humming with power. Inside is a girl. She can't be more than 17, maybe 18 at most. But she's definitely not human. Her skin has a pale blue tint that shifts to silver in the red light. Her hair is white as starlight, floating around her head like she's underwater. And her eyes are the color of deep space, infinite and haunting. She's also chained to the cage floor with restraints that look like they could hold a battleship. "Jesus Christ," Malik breathes. "How long have you been in there?" The girl's lips don't move, but her voice fills his head again. Always, since I can remember. They said I was broken, dangerous, that I needed to be fixed. Malik approaches slowly, hands visible. The girl flinches away from him, pressing herself against the far wall of the cage. Her fear is so intense he can almost taste it. "Hey, it's okay," he says softly. "I'm not going to hurt you. My name's Malik. What's yours?" For a long moment, she just stares at him, like she's trying to decide if he's real or just another hallucination. Finally, she speaks aloud for the first time. Her voice is hoarse, unused. "Aven, my name is Aven, but you're not supposed to be here. They'll punish you if they find you." "Who's they? The doctors, the soldiers, the ones who made me." Her chains rattle as she shifts. "You should leave. I'm not worth saving." Something in her tone, the resigned acceptance of worthlessness, ignites a fury in Malik's chest. He's heard that same defeated whisper from too many broken soldiers, too many victims who'd been ground down by systems that didn't care about human decency. "That's where you're wrong, kid." Malik examines the cage's locking mechanism. It's a biometric scanner combined with an old-fashioned key lock. The kind of redundant security you use when you really don't want something to get out, or when you want to make sure it never sees sunlight again. "Stand back," he warns. Aven presses herself into the corner as Malik pulls out a plasma cutter from his kit. The tool was designed for salvage work, but it'll punch through most metals if you're patient. He starts cutting through the lock mechanism, sparks flying in the dim light. "Why are you helping me?" Aven asks. "Everyone else just walked past." Malik pauses in his cutting. "How many others have been here? Dozens, hundreds maybe. Scavengers mostly, sometimes pirates. They see me and they just keep walking, like I don't exist." The casual cruelty of it hits Malik like a physical blow. How many people had seen this girl trapped like an animal and decided she wasn't their problem? How many had chosen the easy path of willful blindness? "Well, I'm not everyone else," he says grimly, returning to his work. The lock finally gives way with a satisfying crack. Malik pries open the cage door and steps inside. Up close, Aven looks even younger. There are scars on her arms where medical instruments have been attached. Her clothes are a standard-issue prison jumpsuit that's seen better decades. The restraints are another story entirely. They're not just chains, they're some kind of neural dampener designed to suppress psychic abilities. Malik recognizes the technology from classified briefings he'd rather forget. "This is going to hurt," he warns, pulling out a different tool. Aven nods, bracing herself. Malik cuts through the restraints one by one. Each time a shackle falls away, Aven gasps like she's breathing for the first time. When the last one drops, she collapses to her knees. "Easy there," Malik says, catching her arm. "How long since you've walked?" I don't remember walking. Not without the chains." That's when Malik notices something else. In the back corner of the cage, hidden in shadow, is a small pile of personal items. A worn stuffed animal, a datapad with a cracked screen, a photo of a family she's never going to see again. This wasn't just a prison. It was a life, the only life this girl had ever known. "Come on," he says gently. "Let's get you out of here." But as they reach the cage door, an alarm starts blaring. Red lights strobe faster, and somewhere in the distance, Malik hears the whine of approaching engines. "They're coming," Aven whispers, terror in her voice. "They always come when someone tries to take me." Malik checks his weapon and curses under his breath. "Then we better move fast." As they run through the collapsing facility, Aven stumbling on legs that haven't carried her in years, Malik makes a decision that will change both their lives forever. He could have left her behind, could have told himself it wasn't his problem, could have chosen the easy path. Instead, he chooses to fight. Because sometimes the most human thing you can do is refuse to walk away. The corridors of Building 7 twist like a maze designed by someone who'd given up on hope. Malik half carries, half drags Aven through the wreckage as Tyrans wail behind them. Her legs shake with every step, muscles that haven't been used in years, screaming in protest. "There," Malik points to an emergency exit that's partially blocked by fallen debris. "We can squeeze through." But as they climb over twisted metal and concrete chunks, Aven suddenly stops. Her head tilts like she's listening to something only she can hear. 3 ships, she whispers, coming from the northwest. They'll reach the landing pad in 4 minutes. Malik stares at her. How could you possibly know that? Venon's face flushes that strange blue-silver color. I can feel them, their thoughts, their anger. They were very angry that someone touched their property. Their property. Heidi. The words taste bitter in Malik's mouth. Is that what they called you? Asset designation 77 Alpha. Sometimes just 77. She says it matter-of-factly, like it's the most natural thing in the world to be reduced to a number. I was born here, in Lab C. The doctor said my parents were volunteers for the hybrid program, but she trails off and Malik doesn't push. He's seen enough classified files to know that volunteers in military genetics programs usually weren't. They reach the exit and squeeze through into the dying daylight. Malik's ship, the Hollow Star, sits about half a click away in what used to be the colony's main plaza. It's not much to look at, a converted military transport with more scars than paint, but it's fast and it's his. Can you run? He asks. Aven tests her weight on unsteady legs. I think so. They start moving Aven's gait, gradually steadying as muscle memory kicks in. But she's not just walking, she's moving with a strange, unconscious grace, like she's dancing to music only she can hear. The thing is, she says as they navigate between rusted shipping containers, I wasn't supposed to survive this long. Most of the hybrids died before their 10th birthday. Too much neural feedback, they said. Too much psychic overflow. But you didn't die. No, I got stronger, and that scared them. She glances at him sideways. I can do things, Malik. Things that made the doctors very nervous. I can feel what people are thinking, what they're planning. Sometimes I can see what's going to happen before it does. As if to prove her point, she suddenly grabs his arm and yanks him sideways. A second later, a chunk of building facade crashes down exactly where he'd been walking. Okay, Malik says, his heart hammering. That's definitely not normal. Nothing about me is normal. That's why they kept me locked up. They said I was too dangerous to release, too valuable to terminate. Her voice drops to a whisper. But I think they were just afraid of what I might become. They're closing in on the Hollow Star when Aven stops again. This time her whole body goes rigid. Malik, we have a problem. What kind of problem? There's someone on your ship. A young woman. She's been watching us through long-range scopes. Aven's eyes go wide. She's not here to hurt us, but she's not here to help either. She's curious and very, very nervous. Malik draws his sidearm and activates his comm unit. The response comes immediately, a crisp female voice with a slight accent he can't quite place. Don't shoot, Rourke. I'm not your enemy. Funny way of showing it, breaking into my ship. I didn't break in. I've been monitoring Gareth 4 for 3 weeks, waiting for someone exactly like you to show up. Someone like me. Someone stupid enough to actually help her. The ship's cargo ramp lowers with a hydraulic whine and a figure emerges. She's maybe 25 with short-cropped, auburn hair and the kind of lean build that comes from living on ration bars and adrenaline. Her clothes are practical. Engineer's jumpsuit over body armor, tool belt, heavy with gear. That's seen real use. Kess Marrow, she says, holstering a plasma rifle that could have vaporized them both. Former Imperial Navy, former a lot of things. Currently freelance problem solver. And what's my problem that needs solving? Kess gestures toward the horizon where 3 dark shapes are rapidly approaching. Military shuttles by the look of them. Fast, heavily armed, and definitely not here for a social visit. They've been monitoring this facility for years, waiting for someone to try exactly what you just did. The moment you touch that cage, you painted a target on your back that's visible from orbit. Aven steps closer to Malik, instinctively seeking protection. She's telling the truth. I can feel her intentions. She really does want to help. Why, Bawa? Malik asks. What's in it for you? Kess's expression hardens. Let's just say the people who put that girl in a cage also destroyed everything I ever cared about. Enemy of my enemy and all that. The approaching ships are close enough now that Malik can hear their engines. Time for a decision. Trust the stranger who broke into his ship or face 3 military shuttles with nothing but harsh language and a 50-year-old plasma rifle. All aboard, he says, making his choice. Let's see how fast this bucket can really fly down. The hollow star lifts off with all the grace of a brick thrown by an angry giant. Malik pushes the engines harder than they're designed to go, feeling the ship shudder as they climb toward orbit. Behind them, the 3 shuttles break formation and give chase. Strap in, Malik shouts over the engine noise. This is going to get bumpy. Aven fumbles with her safety harness, fingers shaking from a combination of fear and excitement. For the first time in her life, she's leaving the only world she's ever known. The view through the cockpit windows is overwhelming. Endless stars scattered across velvet black, more beautiful than anything she'd imagined. Kes slides into the co-pilot's seat like she belongs there. Mind if I take a look at your tactical systems? Be my guest. They're older than dirt, but they work. Kes's fingers dance across the control panel with practiced efficiency. Good news and bad news. Good news. Your ship's got more armor than I expected. Bad news. Those aren't just any shuttles chasing us. Those are Parhelion Order interceptors. Malik's blood turns to ice water. Parhelion? What the hell is the Parhelion Order doing on a dead rock like Gareth 4? The same thing they do everywhere, Kes says grittily, collecting assets for their private army. Aven speaks up from the passenger compartment. The doctors mention them sometimes. They were the ones paying for the research. They wanted soldiers who couldn't be mind-controlled or psychically influenced. Makes sense, Kes mutters, working on the sensors. Half the conflicts in the outer systems involve some kind of psychic warfare these days. An army immune to mental manipulation would be worth keeping a girl in a cage for 18 years. The first energy blast rocks the ship, sending everyone grabbing for handholds. Malik checks the rear cameras and sees the lead interceptor moving into attack position. Okay, that's enough of that. He throws the ship into a spiraling dive using Gareth 4's gravity well to build speed. Kes, please tell me you know how to work weapons systems. I know how to work a lot of things. Her hands move to the gunner controls. But these ships are military grade. We're not going to outfight them. Then we outrun them. Another blast closer this time. The hull groans under the stress and warning lights start flashing across the control panel. Malik's pushing the engines beyond safe limits, but safe limits aren't going to keep them alive. That's when Aven speaks up. Malik, turn left, now. What? Turn left hard as you can, right now. Malik doesn't question it. He throws the ship into a violent left turn just as a massive energy beam slices through the space where they'd been flying. The beam would have cut them in half. How did you, I felt their gunner's intention. He was aiming for where we were going to be, not where we were. Aven's voice is gaining confidence. I can feel all of them. Their tactics, their next moves. They're trying to hurt us toward their main ship. What main ship? Kes demands. Aven closes her eyes, extending into her senses. It's coming out of hyperspace in 30 seconds. Directly ahead of us. It's huge. Sure enough, space tears open like a wound, and a Parhelion Order dreadnought slides into normal space. It's a kilometer of bristling weapons and armor plating, the kind of ship that reduces planets to component atoms. Okay, Malik says, surprisingly calm. Now would be as a good time for suggestions. Kes is working frantically at her console. I'm reading massive electromagnetic interference from the planet's magnetosphere. If we can get into the interference zone, their targeting systems won't be able to lock on to us. That's brilliant, except for one tiny problem. The interference zone is inside the atmosphere. We'd have to fly back toward the planet. I know. Another energy blast, this one close enough to char the outer hull. Malik makes his decision. Hold on, everyone. We're going swimming. He flips the ship end over end and dives straight back toward Gareth 4. The interceptors follow their pilots, probably thinking he's lost his mind. But as they plunge into the upper atmosphere, the electromagnetic storms that make the planet so uninhabitable suddenly become their salvation. Static fills the comm channels. Targeting computers go haywire. The dreadnought's massive cannons fire blind, missing by kilometers. But the real surprise comes from Aven. As they race through the electromagnetic storm, her hands pressed against the bulkhead, she suddenly gasps. I can feel the ship. What do you mean, Oyster? The hollow star. I can feel its systems, its engines, its navigation computer. Her eyes are wide with wonder. I think I can help. Before anyone can stop her, she places her palms against the main control console. The ship's entire electrical system lights up like a Christmas tree. But instead of overloading, everything becomes smoother, more responsive. The engines sing instead of scream. The navigation system locks onto the safest path through the storms without being programmed. What are you doing? Kes breathes. I'm not sure, Aven admits, but I think I'm making us faster. The interceptors fall behind, unable to match their suddenly impossible maneuvers. The dreadnought's weapons can't track them through the interference, and for the first time since this whole mess started, Malik allows himself to believe they might actually escape. Nice work, kid, he says. Aven smiles, probably the first genuine smile of her life. I've never been in space before. It's beautiful. It gets better, Malik promises. But even as they break free of Gareth IV's gravity well and jump to hyperspace, none of them realize that their escape has just triggered something much bigger than a simple rescue mission. In the depths of space, coded messages are already flying between Parhelion order ships. Bounty notices are being updated. And somewhere in the galaxy's criminal underground, the price on Malik Rourke's head has just increased by several million credits. The girl they rescued isn't just a victim of illegal experimentation. She's something far more dangerous and far more valuable. She's a weapon that could change the balance of power in the galaxy, and now she's free.